الناس أجمعين وعلى آله وصحبه من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. On this very cold winter's evening, I want to warm you with the Islamic greeting of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin, I just small disclaimer on my behalf. I just got back into the country a few days ago. I have a bit of an infection, dry cough. So forgive me if there's interruptions or if I cough or etc. I'm not in my normal buoyant mood, but alhamdulillah, we do what we can and leave the rest to Allah. Today is a very special lecture. Alhamdulillah, like Imam Sahib Sulaiman Sahib mentioned, towards the end there's going to be a book launch. A very important topic that is going to be covered today. In fact, I think in the last few lectures I have kind of brought together this topic in the form of other themes that I've covered. For example, we spoke about communication, how smartphones have really paralyzed the way people communicate, especially the next generation, the youngsters. They find it very difficult. There's no social skills left. I spoke about the issues relating to sleep and how that impacts many people. I spoke about the lack of focus and productivity. So this is kind of galvanizing everything together, pulling it together, and inshallah in the form of a book here that it's taken me 2 years to put together. I will explain what my thinking was, why this type of book was needed. So it's going to be a bit more different, out of the box type of lecture today. Okay? And I'm sure you'll all agree with me that in an age of connectivity, or what is seemed to be connectivity, we are more distant than at any other time. We are distant from our friends, relatives, we are distant from our loved ones, we are distant from our inner selves. And more importantly, we are distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the greatest irony, that these devices are supposed to connect us, but you and I can agree to the fact that we are more disconnected than connected. And this is the reason I'm here to talk about this silent epidemic that we know as smartphone addiction or social media addiction that has penetrated everyone's houses and has penetrated everyone's hearts. And wallahi, for many years I've seen this issue creep up. It's got worse every year, and you've all come across the news a few days ago. Australia is debating in Parliament whether or not next year to ban social media or smartphones in schools. This is how bad the situation is, that they are actually debating next year. They want to bring in legislation because of the negative impact that smartphones are having on the youth. Detrimental impact. And I've discussed this in the previous talks, whether it's mental health, whether it's feeling insecure about yourself when you measure your life against the so-called polished personas of other people. You feel insecure, you lack confidence, and many times people feel suicidal. And that is why Australia is perhaps one of the countries that is going to lead the way and start introducing these measures. And as an educator, as a Muslim who's a da'iyah, as a person who does khutbahs, I always try and put my finger on the pulse when it comes to issues affecting the community. And this is very important for any person who is an educator, any person who has the responsibility of ascending the mimbar, to try and also talk about issues that affect the people. Sometimes when we make Islam very abstract, very theoretical, people go away from the masjid without having anything to apply in their daily lives. So the khatib has to have and do research on things that are impacting the Muslim community. And smartphone addiction is definitely one issue that is affecting the Muslim community. You can look at the amount of or lack of literature that is out there that deals with this issue. When I was researching for this book, I think this book will perhaps be the only book, or maybe there might be another book out there that deals with this issue. And yet if you look at non-Muslims, there are 10 to a dozen books that talk about smartphone addiction, about digital minimalism, about atomic habits, about being the best version of yourself and minimizing your exposure to smartphones. Yet in the Muslim community, we people are supposed to be the best nation that has been raised amongst mankind. We're always playing catch up. We're always behind. We're not ahead of the curve. And this is why I wrote this book, to try and give my effort into try and address this issue. The journey has been a long one. I don't know if you remember, many years ago I did a lecture here as well, and it was well received because we even had, I think, Imam Sahib, you can mention, I think we had non-Muslims attend as well, from what I can remember. There were seats at the back, non-Muslims, we had 2 or 3 non-Muslims who attended. It was a decent event, and I did this talk in the form of a presentation. I had a PowerPoint presentation where I really unpacked the whole concept of smartphones, what is happening to the brain, the neuroscience, all the dopamine, the instant validation, everything was unpacked and placed in front of everyone, and everyone received this warmly, and they were saying, you know what, this makes sense. So I took the same talk across the country. Every masjid that I was connected to wanted me to do the same talk because their people were struggling. And it's not just smartphone addiction. You have many other addictions. You have drug addiction, pornography addiction. You have binge eating. All of these play on the same part of the brain that has been exploited by Silicon Valley. The prefrontal cortex, the reward system of the brain, everything to do with dopamine. So really wanted to put everything in the form of a book that was systematic in order, so that you can take it home, read at your own pace, and try and implement some of the strategies that I have placed in this book. Also, this book is different. Why? Because not only does it bridge the gap between Islamic perspective and a scientific perspective, but I also provide my own personal insights. As a person who has been giving da'wah for over a decade, I go to different parts of the community, Leicester, Derby, Manchester, Bradford. I have a snapshot of the Muslim community. I know what is working well within Muslim communities, and I know what areas can be improved on. I know where youngsters are struggling, what the challenges are, and that is why I feel that I'm in a good position to address these issues and perhaps include some case studies in this book, and that's exactly what I've done as well. There's anecdotes in this book about real life situations, about things that are unfortunately harmful to the Muslim community, so that you can have a taste of the reality of what's taking place. It's not abstract. It's real narratives to do with people who are struggling and some of the signs of this kind of struggle. So it's been since 2017-16, I have been working on the talks, and then over the last 2 years, post-COVID, I thought as a Muslim educator, as a person who has a strong background in social sciences, let's lay something out there. Let's put something out there for the Muslim community to benefit from. So this book offers a solution rooted in both Islamic sciences and scientific evidence, making this a very practical book for readers. Okay, so again, just going over some of the challenges. Many of you may understand, which I've discussed this in the last talk as well, the last few talks, but there's compelling statistics that I've provided in this book as well about the challenge that many of the youngsters are facing. And I just want to share with you a few. For example, 33% of users who scroll for 3 hours, just 3 hours, even though people are scrolling for longer than 3 hours a day. What do they feel? According to research, they feel anxiety, they feel loneliness, and they feel depression. Imagine. It's like you're hitting a wall. It's a dark place that people are entering. It's like a chamber where you feel like a quagmire. You're sinking deeper into the sand. And there's nothing you can do. So that's why this book is very important. It provides solutions. Another research statistic, 74% of surveyed adults believe that social media addiction or too much usage of social media contributes to higher suicide rates. Suicide. Because at the end of the day, when you see the polished personas of other people, the fake, and you don't realize the difference between fake and reality, that there is an online persona and an offline persona. What happens, you start measuring yourself and you feel insignificant. You think, my life isn't as good as X or Y person. He's wearing these great trainers, this great jacket, this great cap. He's getting all the likes and shares and everything. Yet me, my dad doesn't even buy me anything. I've got the worst family. Everyone else's family goes on 10 vacations a year. I just about go once every 3 years. So what happens? You start feeling insignificant, and then that contributes to a lower morale. And this is something else that's been well researched. And all of these things are mentioned, all the negative impacts that affect self-esteem. And like I mentioned before, I feel that this book is a unique contribution because it fills that critical gap. There's not many books out there that combine Islamic literature with what's happening to the brain. There's many books written out there by, top sellers. Cal Newport has done so many books about digital minimalism. And there's Atomic Habits. All these books are great because they talk about the neuroscience, about how you can hardwire your brain to be solid, not to be distracted. But as Muslims, we don't really have anything. So this really equips the reader with the tools that you really need to navigate your way through this life. And really, this life, which is it's a short journey that we all go through, is nothing in comparison to the akhirah. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. It's more long lasting. There's no 60 years, 70 years, then you die. There's no death. And yet we are not preparing ourselves for that standing in front of Allah. Allah mentions اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. The day of reckoning is getting closer and closer and closer, yet mankind is ghafil. It's like we don't care. Let me have another scroll. Let me have another swipe. Let me just catch what's happening, the entertainment, the fear of missing out. Yet here Allah is saying that your place is at stake. It could be Jannah or Jahannam. Strive for the Akhirah. Don't waste your time. And I mentioned this in the previous talks that I've delivered here, when I tried to connect the dots. We spoke about Surah Al-Asr, where Allah swears by time. And yet how many youngsters do we have who say, I feel bored. I want to kill time, bro. Kill time. Allah is swearing by time, the value of time, the amount you can get done, the productivity. And then we are so hooked on entertainment that when the scrolling stops, we still feel so bored. We're saying, what? I'm bored. I want to kill some time. So this is something that I wanted to share with you about the reason I created the book, made the book. I hope you're getting some insights. There are many themes in this book, but I just want to quickly share 3 key themes. There's many themes in this book. The first theme that I want to share with you is obviously something that I've just touched upon now, is that this book has a psychological and spiritual impact of social media. Just addresses that issue. The psychological and spiritual impact. So we've talked about the psychological from a scientific perspective. The dopamine, the anxiety, the depression, all of these are disorders. The algorithms keeping you hooked. All that exploitation of dopamine. That's the theme that's covered from a scientific perspective. Then we talk from an Islamic perspective. The spiritual ailments, the khushu' that you don't have. The dhikr that you should be doing, you can't do these things because you're just focused. on the phone. I remember I did this live radio show at Unity FM 2019, and I spoke about this for the first half an hour. Dopamine, how it gets you hooked, all these things. And then we opened up the lines. Anybody want to call in? Feel free. And wallahi, the first caller that we had was a very brave individual. He was an imam from a particular masjid. And he said, everything that you've mentioned resonates with me. I want to share with you my story. Go on, listeners are listening. What's your story? He said, wallahi, I began sharing reminders on my phone. Just basic reminders. Ayat, hadith, to inspire, motivate people. But then he said, I would find myself checking my phone every minute, every hour, because I was getting a lot of engagement. MashaAllah, Shaykh, Jazakallah khair, may Allah reward you, may Allah bless you. And I started feeling good about myself. To such an extent that after I would lead the prayer and finish, instead of doing my adhkar and my dua and what I was normally used to doing for the last 30 years, I would find myself taking out my phone and going through again that behavior that I had built in my brain to see who has responded to my last post, to my last message. I would find that once I would do wudu, and before I even dried myself, I would quickly get my phone out and check who's responding to my messages. Until I gave up, I said, you know what, enough is enough. This resonates with me. That's what he was saying. And this is the reality of the situation. This is how strong these devices are. It's like sihr. If you ever want to know how to be controlled by something that you can't touch, it's not tangible, you can't feel it, but it has a magical effect on your body, your mind, it's the smartphones, which have been carefully crafted and engineered by Silicon Valley to make them billionaires. The tech industry has manipulated the weakness of the human brain, and this is why we find ourselves in this situation. So that's the first key theme, psychological and spiritual. Second one is social media and the concept of time in Islam. I dedicate the first few chapters to this. Like I've just mentioned, there's terms that are called like time famine. People are they have no time left in their life because they are spending so much time on these useless gadgets that they feel that they have no productivity. It's really impacting their productivity. That's from a scientific perspective. And then you look at it from an Islamic perspective, like I mentioned, Surah Al-Asr is just one surah. Allah swears by time, and there's many hadith, there's many other narrations about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying, take advantage of different states. Your time, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس, take advantage of 5 before 5. نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ. 2 blessings that Allah has given us that we don't value, and when they've gone, then we say, Ya Allah. One is siha, your health, and the second is your free time. We all have blessing of health, your eyes, your ears. But we spend our eyes looking at things we're not supposed to, wasting our time, instead of doing beneficial stuff, reading the Qur'an. And then when our sight is taken, then we say, Ya Allah, please, anything to cure my sight. I want to read the Mus'haf again. If your hearing is taken, because we're so used to listening to music and the wrong things, once it's gone, then we're pleading, Ya Allah, I just want to hear the recitation of the Imam during Taraweeh. Ya Allah. My spiritual state was so high, now I can't hear anything, Ya Allah. I neglected that blessing that you gave me by wasting it on other things, Ya Allah. So we need to utilize, and that's the second theme. And the third one is to foster a healthy relationship with smartphones. I'm not here to say throw these in the bin. No way. Islam is about the middle path, mutawassit, the balanced way, not the extreme. One extreme would be just throw them away. You go on a high, knee-jerk reaction. But I'll tell you one thing. 2 days later, you'll be scrummaging through that bin when you have your withdrawal symptoms. Get it back out. That's an extreme. And the other extreme is you just don't come off the phone. Islam is the middle path. You get the balance. You use your phone, but you don't let your phone use you. That's the balance. You can read Qur'an on your phone. You can memorize. You can have access to everything. But are you using your phone for the good things, or are you using it for the bad things? And this is what I mentioned as another theme, is to foster a healthy relationship with the phone. But some people, they don't do this. Meaning that they've had enough of these phones. And they've started introducing dumb phones. Does anyone know what a dumb phone is? This is a smartphone, right? They're beginning to introduce dumb phones. Dumb phones are going back 15 years, pre-smartphone era, your normal Nokia 9210 or whatever it is. Small phones, great at taking calls, great at receiving SMS, that's it. No other functionality. And people are saying, that's sufficient for me. I don't need anything else. If my loved one wants to contact me, I have the same number. But it's just going to be taking a call. How are you? Great, fine. I'll be home at this time, thank you. Or SMS if it's important. I'm not going to get sidetracked by WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. There's nothing like that. It's a normal Nokia 9210. And there are so many people who are on those phones now, because it is really impacting their productivity. Some people have lost jobs because they couldn't focus on their work, and there's the gamble, the risk that they wanted to take. And all of a sudden, manager calls them in, you're slacking at work. He's going to give you a warning. Okay, fine. Carry on. A few days later, can't help it again. Until they get sacked. They cannot get the balance right. So people who are really concerned about the detrimental effects of these smartphones, they just keep the phone and they go, okay, I'll browse on this just 1 hour in the evening when I get back from work. But what I'm going to take with me is my dumb phone. In my car, on the bus, I can read a book. I can Qur'an, anything, but I'm not going to take smartphone because this is a waste of time. And then also the emotional impact. Not just your emotional impact in terms of when you measure yourself against other people, with what's going on across the world. It's sad. When you're tuned in to something so much that you are seeing people being killed, massacred daily, it does really put people on a tipping point. Everyone is different. My tolerance level is different to your tolerance level. Your tolerance level could be different to the one sitting next to you. People actually go mad when they start seeing, or they are bombarded with certain images day in, day out, people screaming, crying, dying. They need to disconnect. They need time out. And it's very hard to do that. So the next part I wanted to discuss was some insights from this book. And in this book, I have 15 chapters, and there's one particular chapter that is very unique. And I really put this together based on my experiences of coming across certain type of users on social media. So I've called this chapter 3, the online character parade, types of social media users. So I mentioned that when it comes to social media engagement, there's different types of users, and this is like a very comical, tongue-in-cheek look at the different types of social media users there are. So I just want to share 3 with you, basically, just to give you a bit of a flavor. So you've got names such as stealth mode scroller. So this person is stealth mode, meaning that they won't actively put anything on. There's no posts for maybe a year or 2. And they will swear that, I'm never on social media. Look at my part. I don't post anything. I'm never on it. It's not for me. But they will be undercover spending 4 to 5 hours watching everyone else, not commenting, but still they are wasting time. I call this person the stealth mode scroller. Yeah, that's one. Then you got the attention addict, the validation seeker, who is on the opposite end of the spectrum. They are posting 5, 6, 7 times a day, and they are eagerly awaiting the flood of likes and comments and shares. That's called the attention addict. Then you have the back scratch brigade. They now coined these names, the back scratch brigade. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. And this type of person is one who thrives on the cycle of mutual validation. So when somebody uploads, they're quick to like that post, and then they get the reciprocation of, okay, he likes my post. But things turn sour when one day he doesn't like that person's post, and then they say, you know what, you didn't like my post, I'm not going to like yours. It becomes a tit for tat. So you'll be surprised there are lots of people out there who are just scratching each other's back just to get the validation. Then you have another one called the virtual hug seeker. Let me read about this. This is a decent passage. This individual often turns to social media as a refuge, pouring out their worries and seeking a comfortable virtual teddy bear hug from the online community. Rather than turning to healthier coping mechanisms, such as going for a walk, talking to a friend, seeking counseling, or connecting with Allah through prayer during life's trials, they spend hours each day sharing their struggles with the world. Posting on social media has become an emotional ritual where every minor setback and significant challenge is detailed in notifications and updates. Initially, the digital community responds with empathy and support, rallying around them with words of encouragement and virtual companionship. However, as time goes on, many friends and followers begin to feel overwhelmed by the constant stream of emotional posts. What started as a genuine call for help has evolved into a relentless cycle of sharing, where even the smallest inconveniences are deemed worthy of prayers and cyber hugs. These posts provide the individual with a quick fix for their emotions, offering immediate validation and sympathy, but at a significant cost. What is that cost? For the person who regularly posts emotional content, this behavior can lead to a dependency on the transient comfort of online validation, which may hinder true healing and self-growth. Meanwhile, the audience, initially drawn in by compassion, may begin to feel drained. It will impact you as well. Because, my brother's going in for a toenail operation. May Allah give him shifa ajla wa kamila, brother. My brother's got this. But then you're feeling drained as well at the same time. May begin to feel drained, their emotional resources stretched thin by the constant barrage of distressing updates. This dynamic traps both the emotional online poster and their followers in a cycle that, while offering temporary relief, fails to foster genuine connection. And I go on, and this is like just one type of person. And you may see that 3 or 4 times a day, please make dua, please do this. And then what happens? You will start to get burnt out. You say, bro, there's only enough emotional, mental bandwidth that I have. I cannot keep sharing it with you. I need to share it with my family, my loved ones. My wife doesn't feel well today. I need to sit with her and talk to her. Or the wife might say, my husband feels a bit down today. I need to speak to him. You don't need to give your emotional bandwidth and energy to someone who's saying, I'm going for a nail trim. Please make dua, brother. You don't need that. Okay? And the final one, and there's so many in here, but the final one I mentioned is the holy hitman. The holy hitman. How many people have begun to weaponize the deen? And you see that on social media. They weaponize the deen, and this individual, and I'm going to read this a bit, it's quite funny, because remember, I made this tongue-in-cheek, because I don't really want to make it sound patronizing. I'm not going after anyone. Just a light-hearted way. But this holy hitman is an individual who storms on the online scene like the Terminator, armed with powerful hadith and Quranic verses, ready to annihilate anyone who dares to cross his path. Holding a differing view all the time, or anyone who makes him feel threatened, he will come with an arsenal of profound religious texts, prophetic statements, and Quranic verses to unleash a relentless barrage of religious posts aimed at his opponents. Determined to make his point loud and clear. For him, there is no room for differing perspectives. And if he detects even a hint of pride in your words, he'll swiftly deploy his nuclear arsenal of hadiths to bring you crashing down. Beginning with a stern warning, whoever has a mustard seed of arrogance or pride in his heart shall not be admitted to paradise. But in his eagerness to obliterate his opponents, he often overlooks the other side of the hadith, where our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever has a mustard seed weight of faith in his heart shall not be admitted to the fire. Meaning these type of people, whatever makes them feel good, they will use that, and they will become the judge, the jury, and the execution on social media. They will come with their arsenal of ahadith and stuff like this. So anyway, I mentioned these points so that you can look out for these types of behaviors and make sure that you can stay away from these type of behaviors, because when you research, then you can identify these behaviors. When you don't research, then you don't know what these behaviors are. Another thing that I unpack is the Islamic side. So I've spoken about science. I just want to impact the Islamic, then we'll finish the talk. You have another thing called Mother Teresa syndrome. Mother Teresa was a very famous philanthropist. She was a woman who dedicated her life to working in the poor parts of India, and she would look after orphans. In the eyes of the world, people said she was a saint. Pictures, she's living in like really difficult dwellings, muddy, and she's helping the poor. But in the memoirs that were found after she died, she put down some personal things, saying that even though people see me in high esteem, me personally, I am struggling to find Christ in my life. Meaning, my spirituality is below. Whereas people think I'm a saint, I'm a great person. And sadly, this is what we will fall into sometimes when we see a lot of people who are openly displaying piety and getting all the validation. MashaAllah, brother, you're great, you're great, you're great. But deep down, they are struggling with their spirituality. Never publicly display and I always said this when I used to be in the charity sector, don't measure my persona with when I'm going on deployment, if I have a child next to me, an orphan, if I'm doing this. Don't say, Waseem is such a great guy. I know I'm not a great guy. That's marketing. That's fundraising. That's showing you that your money is now being given to these people. Doesn't mean I have a halo on my head. But we're seeing a lot of this kind of stuff now. We're seeing a lot of people who get the buzz, the dopamine, but deep down they're struggling with the basics of Islam. We're reminded of a narration when Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to follow Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Every morning after Fajr, where's this man going? He's not telling anyone, and he's being very, very secretive. So we'd go, or Abu Bakr would go, look behind, no one's looking, he would go through the gullies, and Umar is saying, Ya Abu Bakr, I hope you're not doing anything really bad here. I have husn al-dhan, but the way you're just like doing this, you're looking behind, no one's looking, you're going through the gully, Ali, what's going on? So he follows him and he waits until he sees him going into a house. So he stays behind. An hour or two later, Abu Bakr comes out the house and again he's looking left and right, no one's looking, secretly, he's gone. Today, Umar says, you know what, I've got this guy, he's leading a double life. Who has he got down there? Who? Is he doing something wrong? So he goes to the door, knocks on the door. There's the sound of an old woman. Who is it? It's me, Umar. Okay, I can't get up. I'm old, feeble. Just come on, the door's open. So he goes in. And some narrations mention the lady was blind. Some narrations mentioned that she was very, very old, weak, feeble. So he said, who was that man who just left? What's his business with you? Why does he come here? She goes, I don't know who he is. I can't see. But all I know is that he comes every morning. He asks me, are you okay? Is there anything you need to clean, cook, whatever? And then he does all this and then he leaves. Even I don't know who he is. And then Umar said, Ya Abu Bakr, today you have beaten me. Secret. هَلَّكَ سِرٌ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ. That's what that nasheed mentions. Do you have a secret between you and Allah that only you and Allah know? Without posting it on Facebook and social media for the cheap hits. Oh, today I was walking past a beggar on the street and I bought him a cup of coffee. Look, he's even smiling. Gee, smile. Is that really for the sake of Allah? And we have so many people doing this. And I have a whole chapter dedicated to not just this philanthropy, but also when we go for Umrah and Hajj. You have to tell the whole world in your ihram, okay, wait there, am I not 45 degrees to your right? Okay, the Kaaba there, okay, make dua now. What are you doing? Then, mashallah, mashallah. Nothing is kept secret. And our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying, be careful of riyah. It's a minor shirk. Other narrations mention Allah will say on the day of judgment, go and get your reward from those people who you're doing it for. I'm not going to give you any reward. It was not for me, it was for the people. Now go and seek your reward from the people. And which person is going to give you reward? Na'udhu billah. Allah is Allah. He is the only one who can give you reward. So if you do it for the sake of people, just to get the cheap likes, when you go for Umrah, you go for Hajj, you go for these places, then it's pointless. And how many people do you see when they're doing tawaf around the Kaaba? They've got their Facebook live on. They cannot even do their ibadat properly because they're talking to Auntie Ji and Mummy Ji and everyone's saying, yeah, do dua for me. And sometimes you can't help but look and you see a guy who's like lying with his feet on the table, looking up with a cigarette in his mouth saying, yeah, nice, I can see the Kaaba. Subhanallah, what is this? It's shocking. All of this is linked to smartphones. Imagine how much reward you neglect when you go to Mina for the 5 days. How many people are now losing that spiritual experience because when they're in 8th Dhul Hijjah, they're in Mina, instead of getting ready, first we used to read Qur'an before the smartphones. You were physically ready spiritually. Now everyone's there immersed in their phones. If you go for Hajj, you will see. Put the phones away. These are the most life-changing 5 days of your life. And again, smartphones are things that do this. And the last 2 points you have that I mentioned in this book, evil eye and jealousy. Every time you keep uploading pictures, look at my marriage, my family, my car, my biceps, my triceps, my whatever steps, the next thing you know, evil eye. Our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, this is haqq. It will hit you. And if it hits you, I've seen people who've lost millions as businessmen. I've seen people who have been disfigured. They were beautiful, but they were disfigured. This comes from people's hearts. And this really amplifies it. Smartphones. And jealousy is real. If the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they could get him, throw him in a well. Why? Because of his relationship with his father, Yaqub alayhi salam. Their dad gives him more time than us. You know what? Let's conspire. Let's get rid of him. To such an extent that they even lie to the father. A wolf took him. Look, here's a blood-stained shirt. Were these people gangsters? Were they roadmen? Did they come from a bad background where you say, they had a troubled upbringing? No. They were the grandsons of Anbiya. Who was their father? Yaqub alayhi salam. Who was their grandfather? Ishaq alayhi salam. Who was their great-grandfather? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Look at the prophetic lineage. And yet shaitan still came to them and made them do something. How do you think you and I will fare on the world of social media, smartphones? Constantly seeing somebody uploading. You'd say, you know what, I wish this guy dies, man. And this is what research mentions as well. There's a research paper that is called, the more you upload posts about yourself, the more people hate you. Non-Muslims wrote that. So at the beginning, it's all the customary kind of, well done, I like that. But deep down, like, show off, poser, hope you die, hope you crash. So I ran this lecture up by mentioning that these are some of the issues that you and I know we are facing in the real world. This book offers solutions. And really, social media or smartphones are a tool that can either serve you or it can enslave you. The choice is yours. I don't have Twitter account. I don't have Instagram account. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have TikTok. Alhamdulillah, I feel that on this particular topic, I can walk the walk. In other areas of my life, I'm far from perfect. But on this one, I feel that at least I'm not coming from a place of jealousy, like, well, I've got Instagram page, but I've got many followers, so I'm jealous of other speakers, so I'm going to say, I've got nothing like this. And I'm thinking sometimes when I do get consumed on status or WhatsApp, and I know it's wrong, what is happening to people who've got Instagram accounts and TikTok and Snapchat and Twitter? What's happening? You're lost in this quagmire, this vortex, which is sucking you in. So this is something you need to understand. This book is a humble effort for us to reclaim our time, our focus, our spirituality. And so I leave you with a challenge. Let today be a day where you reflect on what I've mentioned about your time in this dunya, and however much time you have left, Allah knows best, but how are you going to change your behaviors when it comes to your smartphone? Okay? Are you going to minimize the time and start doing other productive things? Start small, but start now. You don't have to make massive changes, but start small, incremental. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those things that are done regularly and consistently, even if they're few micro steps. But do something like this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to use technology wisely, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to use smartphones as a means to strengthen our deen and our purpose in the world. I'm going to give you 3 people here who are brave enough a free copy of a book, but you have to do something. And I want 3 people. I don't want a khutbah, I don't want a lecture. I want 3 people to be brave enough to come to the front, one after another, 3 hands to go up, and share brief personal stories about how social media has either positively or negatively impacted your life. Think about this. Come on, it's got to be at least a minute or 2. I don't want you just coming up and saying, well, my smartphone has been terrible. Thank you, have the book and I'll run away. No. It has to have a bit of meaning, a bit of structure. Think about this now. I'm going to get the first person to come up, and then our respected Haji Yusuf Saab as well, may Allah bless him. With the book, he has also donated ittar as well. So you're going to take a book and ittar as well. So who's going to be the first one? You put your hand up quite quick, okay? You ready? Bismillah. Come on in. MashaAllah. What's your name? Dawood. Dawood. Okay. So over to you. So the question again is, how has social media impacted you? Is it positive or negative? Bismillah.
It's negative because, like, sometimes on social media they lie about some of the hadith, and they like interpret some of the hadith and Qur'an wrongly, so they give wrong information, and then that can like slowly like try and make your iman weaker. So whenever I hear something like about Islam on like YouTube and stuff, I always ask like my parents to see if it's like right or correct and authentic.
MashaAllah, well done. That's a very good answer. Stay here, Dawood. So basically what Dawood is saying is that there's so much misinformation out there, especially when it comes to your iman, your religion, and he goes to his parents as a first point of contact because he knows that there's a lot of people out there who set a lot of traps to take you away from the Qur'an and Sunnah. So I thought that was a very, very good, mashallah, answer. Enjoy, Dawood, and once you've read it, give it to other people who can benefit. Inshallah, next time I'm here, I'll ask you how your book reading journey has been. Okay, mashallah. Okay, actually, Dawood, can I ask you to pick the next person? But try not to pick a friend. Just pick, or someone. On the right. Yeah. Okay, the one on. Okay, yes, yes. Come on. Okay, Yasser. Okay, so the question is, how has social media impacted you, positively or negatively? Any story you want to share? Bismillah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it's negative because there are, like Dawud said, there's a lot of fake stuff. For example, like if you look at many things, they're mostly like fake. So, for example, if you see someone on holiday or something, yeah, they might actually not be on holiday. Someone might be faking it to just get likes, and it's just very fake. Many people fall for this as well, so you should always just stay away from it.
MashaAllah, Yusuf. Yasser. MashaAllah, well done, Yasser. Look at that. SubhanAllah, this is what education can do. Young age, your eyes open, the blinkers come off, and you start seeing things, what Yasser had just mentioned. People who try and showcase something which ain't really true, don't let it bother you. Don't start thinking, okay, why is my life like that? Let them live their life. You be happy with yours, mashallah. Yasser, well done. So this is your book. And There you go. Enjoy. Yeah. And who are you going to choose? Last person. You choose the last person. Let's have somebody from the right hand side, because we've had here, maybe on the right hand side. You choose. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Mackenzie. MashaAllah. Yusuf. You know Yusuf?
Yeah.
MashaAllah. How are you doing? How old are you, Yusuf?
11.
MashaAllah. Okay, so how has social media impacted you? Any story, positive or negative? Here, Bismillah.
I think it's both, because it can be positive because you can learn Qur'an and can read hadith from the internet. But it can be negative because, like, when I'm going on YouTube to do my Qur'an, I just see videos that can distract me and stuff like that.
MashaAllah. And what happens when you get distracted?
Then I just go into the video and then I don't do my Qur'an.
Yeah. And so you could recite more Qur'an if you were not distracted. That would increase your quality. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Yusuf, you take the last one. Enjoy. Allah bless you, and that's yours as well. Fantastic. Okay. So you've heard it, MashaAllah, from the youngsters. Digital distraction, the trap is set. Even if you're doing something noble like reading the Qur'an, you get these distractions. You can't help but go down the rabbit hole. And what happens ultimately, it can jeopardize your Qur'an memorization. You could be stuck on the Qur'an for 6 years. Or if you leave your phone, you could do it in 3 years because you've got no distraction. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make things easy. If anybody wants to get a copy, you can get it from the office or from the community hall. Speak to the brothers, Brother Umair. You can even go onto the website later on, www.digitaldistraction.co.uk. You have in audio format, you have a book, you have an e-book. Our aim as educators is to disseminate the information or the knowledge, and it's up to you now to apply this and be the best version of yourselves. There's no excuses now. You can't say that you didn't know about these smartphones, okay? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless each and every one of you. Have a safe journey back. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.